Tonight, living like a little girl, the court photos of a teenage dancer's room, why social workers were so concerned.
Armed and dangerous, a man allegedly threatens shoppers and workers with a samurai sword.
The Reserve Bank holds firm and keeps rates on hold, when you're likely to see a cut.
America prepares for violence on the eve of the most brutal election it's ever seen.
From the stage to the saddle, the singer who rode a roughie to Melbourne Cup glory.
And fashion and a few lucky numbers as Perth punters get into the spirit of race day at Ascot.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Susannah, Carr and Ardon.
Good evening. We've been given a rare insight into the home life of the teenage dancer whose parents are accused of starving her.
The court has released photographs of the girl's bedroom for you to see. The toys and decorations paint a picture of a 17-year-old living like a little girl.
A bedroom plastered in pink, full of plush toys, butterflies and love hearts, a dream setup for many little girls. But surprisingly, this is the bedroom of a 17-year-old. It's a first glimpse into what the teenager's life was like in her parents' Floreat home. Today, a child protection social worker described the teenager's childlike treatment, telling the jury the girl often slept in the same bed as her mother, that she watched shows like The Wiggles and needed help going to the toilet and brushing her teeth. Other rooms of the home also full to the brim with toys and princess dresses, including a kid's playpen in the lounge room with a circus tent. Prosecutors allege the parents starved their only child. The trial heard the child weighed just 27 kilograms when she was eventually admitted to hospital as an emergency case. Her parents maintain their innocence and say there was nothing wrong with their daughter. An occupational therapist from Perth Children's Hospital also gave evidence, saying the girl had no awareness of her immaturity, recalling how the teenager squealed in delight when her father gave her a magnetic fishing game designed for 3-year-olds, and that it was clear the parents treated their daughter like a much younger child. Cassidy Mosconi, 7 News.
A man armed with a samurai sword has gone on a terrifying crime spree lasting 5 hours across our northern suburbs.
He's accused of threatening shoppers and workers at several businesses, including busy Carr shopping centre. Here's crime reporter Nick Overall.
Striding towards Carr shopping centre, a samurai sword allegedly hidden in his clothes. Hot on his tail, police swarm in Innaloo Street, where it's alleged 30-year-old Leslie Joseph Hill threatened strangers minutes earlier. His rampage began at the Carr shops just before 10 a.m. yesterday, where it's alleged he robbed a bottle shop. 4 hours later, he was seen at Morris Place in Innaloo, where police say he threatened shoppers. Making his way back towards Carr, he then allegedly waved the samurai sword at a construction worker. 10 minutes later, he was back at the shops, accused of stealing a shirt from a store before hitting the bottle shop again, taking cash and liquor, then waving the sword at another customer. Police finally making their arrest on Carr Road.
The man's alleged rampage racked up 7 charges, including possession of a controlled weapon and being armed in a way that may cause fear. Thankfully, though, nobody was injured.
Facing court today, Hill was remanded in custody for a mental health assessment. He'll be crossing swords with a magistrate again tomorrow. Nick Overall, 7 News.
There's a glimmer of hope for mortgage holders, with the Reserve Bank's own forecast now predicting a rate cut by the middle of next year. The board kept rates on hold today, with underlying inflation still too high.
Michelle Bullock isn't a betting woman.
I didn't actually back anyone on the Melbourne Cup. I'm embarrassed to say it, but actually I didn't even watch it.
And having already said there won't be a rate cut before Christmas, she isn't now taking a punt on when that cut will come.
I'm not going to be drawn into another forward guidance.
The RBA board today holding rates at 4.35%, where they've been now for a year.
What this means is that rates haven't gone up since last Melbourne Cup day.
One of the reasons the RBA admits it's underestimated a splurge in government spending, mostly by the states, aimed at easing the cost of living but keeping inflation higher for longer.
Australians aren't seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
The Reserve Bank's statement of monetary policy also released today, assuming rates falling to 4.1% by June next year, 3.7% by next December, 3.5% by June 2026. The question for the government is whether that first rate cut comes before an election in April or May, and that depends on how much inflation falls over the next several months.
Australians are already doing it tough enough when it comes to dealing with these higher interest rates.
The RBA's target band for underlying inflation is between 2% and 3%. It's currently at 3.5%. But Michelle Bullock says the Reserve won't necessarily wait for it to fall below 3% before cutting.
But we need to be pretty convinced that it's heading there with a fair degree of confidence.
And at the moment, confidence is in short supply. Mark Riley, 7 News.
The world is watching America tonight, anxiously waiting to see who its people will choose as their next leader. Voters head to the polls tomorrow in the hotly contested race. Already, more than 78 million people have made their presidential pick. It's still a razor-thin margin between the rivals. Donald Trump made 4 stops in 3 key states today in a bid to shore up final support, while Kamala Harris crisscrossed the big prize of Pennsylvania. That's where Miley Hogan begins our coverage.
Not usually a supporting act. I'm an American woman on the edge. But Lady Gaga knows she's not the headliner on this tour. Backing a woman on the brink of history.
Good evening, Philadelphia!
This is who crowds were here to see. Kamala Harris's final rallies felt more like concerts.
It's my body and my choice.
Star-studded. Their endorsements may help.
Yes, she can.
But this presidential hopeful knows it's the people of Pennsylvania who could deliver her a golden ticket to the White House. Barreling across the battleground state, time spent in Allentown, a majority Latino city, hoping to capitalise on the Trump fallout.
Calling Puerto Rico and the island of garbage, my Latinos, where is your pride?
She's had 107 days to convince America. It's felt long, but in reality, it's one of the shortest election campaigns in US history.
And tonight, then we finish as we started, with optimism.
Kamala Harris hopes her message has resonated with the nation. In a few hours' time, they'll decide if she's done enough to make history and become America's first Madam President. Kamala Harris has reached the end, now hoping it's just the beginning. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Police and city officials all over America are reassuring voters tomorrow's election will be as safe as they can possibly make it.
But in the most volatile states, they're boarding up windows and erecting giant fences, fearing political violence.
This is what the world's greatest democracy looks and sounds like right now. Frightened store owners preparing for violence and looting. In Washington, D.C., there's now a fence around the White House, the very symbol of democracy itself.
I feel very sad that this the state of things.
There will be no tolerance for violence in our city.
This from tough-talking Philadelphia.
Anybody who thinks it's time to play militia, F around and find out.
And Florida, close to Donald Trump's home, is on riot alert too.
Don't do it. It won't end well for you.
As the Trump camp continues to lay the framework to cry fraud if he loses.
We've seen this playbook before, but this time we're prepared.
Today, the candidate himself blitzed the swing states one last time.
We're just one day away.
His most loyal supporters in Michigan are dressed in garbage bags.
Of course, that's what we have been referred to as garbage.
While in Palm Beach, near the venue for Trump's election night party, they're praying his presidency will be reborn. If it is a victory speech here tomorrow night, it will mark a truly stunning political comeback, all but unthinkable when Donald Trump left the White House almost 4 years ago in disgrace.
I've been waiting 4 years for this.
In Florida, Tim Lester, 7 News.
Now to US Bureau Chief David Woiwod in Washington, D.C. And David, the bookies are backing Donald Trump, but Kamala Harris's camp claims to have plenty of momentum.
Rick, good evening. Look, impossible to split these two candidates at this point in a race that is now widely expected to go down to the wire. It is election day here in the United States and that voting has already begun. At midnight tonight, the 6 registered voters in the very small New Hampshire town of Dixville Notch, they have cast their ballots, they have had their say, and those results have already been tallied. 3 for Donald Trump and 3 for Kamala Harris. So a sign there perhaps of just how tight this race actually is. But in a few hours' time, millions and millions more Americans will be waking up and they will be flexing their Democratic muscle, although it could be some days before we have an answer to those questions of whether or not Donald Trump will be heading back to the White House for a second term, or whether the Democrats' great gamble of dumping Joe Biden so late in the game and replacing him with his deputy pays off. Either way, I can tell you that this is a country on high alert. Sue?
David, thank you. America's electoral college system means winning the national popular vote isn't enough for either candidate. Foreign editor Hugh Whitfeld charts their race to 270.
The best way to look at both Donald Trump or Kamala Harris's road to victory is to see what happened 4 years ago. In 2020, Joe Biden won 306 electoral college votes. He was able to reclaim these 3 states for the Democrats: Wisconsin, Michigan and Pennsylvania, part of the so-called blue wall that Hillary Clinton had lost to Donald Trump in 2016, also picking up Georgia and Arizona. In 2024, we wiped the board clean, and based on polling and voting history, we can work out how most of the states will fall in this deeply divided country. At the moment, it looks like Donald Trump will get to 219, thanks to these rusted-on red states. Kamala Harris picks up a load of votes in the heavily populated northeast and her home state of California, hitting 226. There is one poll out of Iowa saying it might flip to Harris. But it is these 7 swing states where it is all to play for, where the candidates have been spending most of their time. Swing states where at the moment it is too close to call. If Harris wins the 3 blue wall states, she'll be in the White House, 270. Even if Trump wins these Sunbelt states from the south, he's stuck on 268. One possibility, if Trump wins one of these and all 4 in the south, he wins. The biggest prize is Pennsylvania's 19 electoral college votes, charting the easiest path to the White House.
And Seven's live coverage of the US presidential election count begins at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Rank outsider Knight's Choice has stormed home to win the Melbourne Cup in a thrilling finish that punters and bookies didn't see coming. His jockey Robbie Dolan aced his first ever ride in the great race, and in a twist, the newly crowned champion had already shot to fame as a contestant on The Voice.
Racing's new Knight in shining armour.
Knight's Choice, Warp Speed, they hit the line. It's a photo finish. Knight's Choice, I reckon's one from Warp Speed.
Luck of the Irish with jockey Robbie Dolan pulling off a daring ride to win Australia's greatest race.
I'm with Melbourne Cup jockey Robbie Dolan. How's that sound?
Wow, you pinched me. I think I'm dreaming. It's incredible. I can't believe it. I don't even know what to say.
It was Dolan's first ever ride in the Cup. The Queensland-based rider striking the perfect chord aboard $63 outsider Knight's Choice.
This is the biggest race in the world. And to win it, it's just incredible. I got my family here, my partner Christine, our little baby, Maisie. My dad flew over from Ireland and now you got me in tears.
Handy with a horse and a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
So come on, let it go. Just let it be. Why don't you be you?
Rockin' Robbie first shot to prominence 2 years ago on Seven's The Voice.
I think I'll be singing for the rest of my life after that. What the hell? Thank you so much.
Double delight for co-trainers Sheila Laxon and John Simons. Sheila with her second cup after training Ethereal in 2001. Japanese horse Warp Speed was second, Akita Sushi third. The day's opening race involved a sprint for best seats. Finding best dressed was another story.
Pretty easy to find on Cup Day, mate. Bit harder in the book, but at Cup Day's not so bad.
Bikinis, looking hot.
and it's a nice day, so why not?
How much was this?
200, $5 salvo, $5 salvos, $18 Kmart.
Around $200 million is gambled on the Cup each year.
There's not as much money around as there used to be.
You'll need deep pockets to buy this hat. The Fashions on the Field winner took 50 hours to make by hand. They had cowboys in the men's competition. Some gave lip service to fashion. Others were a head above the rest. 90,000 in here, millions watching around Australia. And the Melbourne Cup has international appeal too. It's broadcast into more than 260 countries and territories. No celebrating for a small group of anti-horse racing protesters, but inside the gates, a party for Knight's Choice owners and the odd punter who picked the outsider.
Only 35 each way, so it'll probably pay around $2,000.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Punters in Perth might be more than 2,000 kilometres from Flemington, but it didn't stop them getting trackside for the big race. A huge crowd turned out at Ascot to celebrate the Cup.
There's no doubt about it, Perth punters draw a colourful crowd. More than 15,000 got in on the action at Ascot. Backers trying to pick a winner any way they could.
Birthdays, house number, street number. I love pink. I love number 9.
Have you backed a winner today?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called though.
And what's Cup Day without the fashion? Many turning up to turn heads. The ladies took it seriously. The blokes, well...
Unicorns on the shorts, like horses, so close enough is good enough.
From homemade hats to tiny headbands, the weather not as impressive. But the rain didn't dampen spirits. There was plenty of that to go around.
We'll be serving 4,500 bottles of champagne, 200 dozen oysters, 6,500 pints of beer.
As the drinks flowed, the wallets loosened. For the VIPs, a beach club-style setup, transforming the trackside into a sandy oasis.
We may be far from Flemington, but everyone has indeed stopped, and this moment is what it's all about.
When Knight's Choice delivered that photo finish, winners were grinners.
My husband's pop is Richard Knight, and we named our daughter Octavia Knight after him, and he was like, oh, it's Pop's middle name. I'm like, let's do it. 101 to 1, and there he comes. I started shaking, like I was like, no way.
Others drowned their sorrows.
I've won $0.
One lucky WA punter turned $30 into more than 500,000. Turnover at the TAB for the big race was over 9 million. While the day started with some sophistication, the glitz and glam wore off by the end, all part of a classic Cup day. Francesca Danuccio, 7 News.
Sam Jolly joins us now. We had a bit of rain today, Sam.
Yes, it was thanks to a cold front, Rick. The showers started in the early hours of the morning. They'd mostly cleared by 9 a.m. We had a bit of drizzle this afternoon, all up, only about 1 millimetre in the rain gauge for the city, a couple of mils for Jandakot and Bickley. And it was cool again today. We reached our maximum of 22.2 degrees around midday. The overnight low was almost 15. Bullsbrook got up to 25 degrees today. We had 24 in the Swan Valley, the same for the airport. 20 was the top for Kalamunda. Fremantle got to 22 degrees, and then we had 21.5. That was further south. We can see the front passing through. Another weak front is due tomorrow. There's just a slight chance of showers in the metro area from that. Then we will start heading back into a warm weather pattern just in time for the weekend, which is looking warm and sunny. I'll have that forecast a bit later, Rick and Sue.
Thanks, Sam. You're watching 7 News, live from Perth.
Next, Perth Airport arrest. A man accused of abusing airport staff.
Torrential rain hampers the search for survivors from the Spanish flood disaster.
Prince William puts his footy skills to the test on tour.
Plus, still to come, how much it really costs to run an electric car. We compare the price of petrol versus EVs. That's later.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download now.
WA police are mourning the loss of an officer tonight following a drowning tragedy. The woman in her 40s who was off duty at the time was diving around Metham's Pool at Trigg when she ran into trouble this morning. Despite a desperate effort to revive her, sadly, she couldn't be saved.
A Bunbury man has been charged over an incident at Perth Airport last month. The 50-year-old allegedly assaulted an Australian Federal Police officer and verbally abused passengers in the international terminal. Police believe the man was intoxicated at the time. If convicted, he faces up to 3 years behind bars.
An independent review into Joondalup Hospital has highlighted the failures that led to toddler Shandapan Dar's death. Communication issues are being blamed in a hauntingly similar finding to that of little Ash Warrior 3 years ago.
It's been 7 months since Shanjoy Dar lost his youngest child.
Honestly, I left my soul on 23rd of March in Joondalup. So I do not have any emotion remaining. I just want that judgment comes.
The Butler father hoped that judgment would come today, but says an independent review into Joondalup Health Campus falls short. Shandapan died in the hospital after he was refused a blood test. He had leukemia, an easily detected blood cancer. Despite 5 trips to Key Largo Medical Centre, doctors there also couldn't provide a potentially life-saving diagnosis.
We are profoundly sorry for the loss of Shandapan Dar. This report is very clear that we need to empower parents, mums and dads.
The review also examined 11-year-old Olivia's treatment, whose staff turned away with a misdiagnosed tiger snake bite. There were 10 recommendations, including enhancing parental awareness and access to escalation, more training on non-technical skills like listening, more beds and a review into GPs, as well as considering a coronial inquest.
I received a call from the coroner's court and they decided for an inquest.
Key Largo Medical Centre, which refused to take part in the review, will have to appear at a coronial inquest. Despite the report's clear focus on communication failures between families and staff here at Joondalup Health Campus, nobody involved in Olivia or Shandapan's treatment has lost their job.
We have the greatest confidence in our staff.
Alice Murray, 7 News.
Prince William has met with young environmentalists on a trip to South Africa promoting his Earthshot Prize. The annual award supports sustainable projects around the world, with 5 winners receiving nearly $2 million each.
This is the generation right here that's going to do that. And your solutions and your impact are so important and so needed right now.
It wasn't all business. He later took to the field, playing a game of rugby with local school children.
Next on 7 News, the ABC forced to apologise.
The news story that wasn't what it seemed. The national broadcaster in the spotlight for doctoring a war story.
The Jumping Castle tragedy that claimed 6 lives, the operator on trial over safety breaches.
Celebrating the marvellous work of our unsung health heroes.
And later, popping the question in the most unusual place. That's coming up.
Subscribe with Google to The West Australian and never miss a headline. It's simple and secure. 2 taps and you're all set. Explore a world of quality news and journalism from the West. Seamless access, full control, easy to manage. Subscribe with Google to The West Australian.
The ABC has apologised in Parliament for a story about Australian soldiers that contained fake gunshots exposed by Channel 7's Spotlight. Bosses were grilled over why the vision wasn't taken down 2 years ago when lawyers first contacted the public broadcaster.
So the team went to great...
ABC bosses face a barrage of questions.
Who was responsible? Was anyone's employment terminated?
Over extra gunshots in reports on Australian soldiers in Afghanistan.
5 additional sounds of gunshots were inadvertently but inaccurately introduced into footage. It was Spotlight and Channel 7 that brought to our attention the video editing issues.
The original footage,
a warning shot,
compared with the ABC online story,
becomes 6.
Obviously, this shouldn't have occurred, and we're taking it and have taken it very seriously.
Senators told an independent review headed by a former ABC staffer found it wasn't done deliberately or to mislead or deceive, but an accident of trying to create an effective video sequence.
Can I ask you what you have to say to the soldiers of 2nd Commando Regiment?
We've been very clear in our public statement that Mr Sunderland's done a very thorough interim review. We've been very clear that we regret what happened. Mate, I want to go into my office. Thank you very much. Oh, of course.
The review also found the editing of an interview with a former US official was potentially misleading.
The errors identified in the interim report should not have occurred, and we apologise for them.
The report also raised issues regarding the ABC's complaints system that remain unresolved. Another key question remained unanswered today: why a letter to ABC lawyers warning of the extra gunshot sounds back in 2022 wasn't followed up.
Saying you've got it wrong, you've put these fake gunshots in the video, and what? No one did anything? Is that what you're telling me?
Senator, that's what's still being investigated.
Paul Caddick, 7 News.
There's concern from commercial fishermen over new marine sanctuary zones, with some fearing they'll be out of a job. Fishing will be prohibited along 20% of our coast between Bremer Bay and South Australia in an effort to protect breeding areas for threatened species. UWA scientists say that number falls short of international standards and will not be effective.
The problem with marine parks is they don't actually protect the marine environment from the real threats. So that's climate change and that's pollution.
It's the right balance, we believe, between conservation, recreational and commercial fishers and the general community who enjoy this area.
The changes won't take effect until late 2026.
A jumping castle operator has gone on trial in Tasmania, accused of safety breaches over an accident that killed 6 children 3 years ago. The ride was tossed 10 metres into the air by a mini tornado, landing 60 metres away during a fair at Hillcrest Primary School. Rosemary Gamble is accused of tethering the castle in only 4 places instead of 8 and using pegs that were too small.
Western Australia's unsung health heroes will be recognised this week at a special awards night. The WA Health Excellence Award celebrates those who dedicate their lives to helping others.
Susan's work is more than a job.
Thank you so much.
The social worker helps children like Zach and his family navigate the health system.
I try to find out what the family is having a struggle with and help them manage that.
Susan is one of 4 finalists in the 7 News Health Heroes category at the WA Health Excellence Awards.
She has gone above and beyond for myself and lots of other kiddies at the hospital that we've met during our journey, and made our life a lot easier.
One of the things that I love about my job is seeing the resilience of humans and families, and it's amazing.
The 7 News Health Heroes Award celebrates frontline workers as nominated by the public. It's one of 13 accolades that will be presented at the WA Health Excellence Awards.
Anything that brings to light some of the processes that people go through in life is a good thing.
Gemma Veroni, 7 News.
And still to come, Perth's hot property market.
What it means for tenants. We check the cost of renting in Perth, how we compare with the rest of the nation.
Lower prices are just the beginning of a beautiful proposal.
Why an Australian death notice has made headlines overseas.
And coming up in sport, seeing clearly how surgery has helped Pat Cummins, plus the Scorchers in action, and Freo embraces its underdog status.
The most historic election in our lifetime is here. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. The first female president or the comeback of the century. With Seven's correspondents live across America, led by Michael Usher and Angela Cox, with Natalie Barr live from the White House. Hold on tight. Anything can happen. Watch history unfold tomorrow, live on...
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Taking a look at the market now, the ASX 200 has closed down 33 points. Fast food chains Domino's Pizza and Guzman y Gomez were both lower, while mineral resources surged. Gold is trading at $2,734 an ounce. Iron ore is $103 a tonne. One Australian dollar is buying 65.94 US cents and 10,402 Indonesian rupiah.
Perth rents are now higher than the national average, with tenants facing a tough time in many suburbs. Tonight, property editor Angelique Opie has a snapshot of the market.
The average rent in Australia right now, $655 a week for homes, just over $600 for units. In Western Australia, the average rent right now, $682 a week for homes and $620 for units. House rents in East Perth are $858. Units are $737 a week. $732 for homes in Victoria Park. Units are $625 a week. House rents in Leederville are $810. Units are $672 a week.
Lowest prices really are just the beginning at Bunnings, where love was in the air at a Brisbane warehouse over the weekend. Good news, Melanie said yes. Her partner Jeff picked the location because of her love for the store. The moment was 2 months in the making. Melanie thought she was there to meet her daughter for coffee when Jeff got down on one knee. The question now, will they have snags at the wedding?
Fremantle had a royal visitor today. The Queen Elizabeth cruise ship docked for the day with around 1,300 passengers. The Cunard ship is expected to head off later tonight, making way for the Crown Princess, which arrives tomorrow morning. The ship carries more than 2,000 passengers.
What do you make of this? An Australian man has made global headlines for a heartfelt but hilarious newspaper notice announcing the death of his 88-year-old mother. The obituary remembered a colourful character who loved to party more than most.
After losing his beloved mother Jennifer last week, Sean Kelly wrote a notice for the local newspaper, honouring her with hilarious honesty, unaware his good-humoured grief was about to go global.
I had never done a death notice. I'd never really looked at them. I swear, I spent less than 4 minutes on that.
An obituary so unconventional, Sean says the classified salesman wasn't sure he could publish it.
He said, yeah, he had to get approval from his boss.
The notice read, "Farewell Jenny Kelly, our wild and wayward mother, remembering a woman who grew great dope, never wanted to leave a party and gave up champagne or gin frequently but never simultaneously, sharing news on what's next to follow, bring a shovel."
The next thing I knew was the day after someone said, I think we heard someone on the radio talking about your mother this morning.
The notice has now gone viral, shared and celebrated by thousands around the world, including British newspaper The Independent and People magazine in the US.
She would say that she was mortified, but all my friends tell me that she would be absolutely delighted at the attention.
Remembered after death as a woman who lived life to the fullest. Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Love the honesty. Now it's time for an update on Western Australia's blood supply from Lifeblood. Multiple blood types are running low, including A and O positive, the most common types, so chances are you can help. If you don't know your blood type, becoming a donor is the easiest way to find out. Search blood supply or visit lifeblood.com.au to book your donation.
Electric cars are growing in popularity, but how do they compare for running costs? The RAC has taken the guesswork out and compared popular EVs and petrol cars. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News.
But first, Ryan has sport. Ryan, what a shock in the Melbourne Cup.
Unbelievable, guys. Can't imagine too many would have tipped that one, that is for sure. All the highlights from the race and the winning singing jockey. Plus, Eye of the Tiger, why Pat Cummins can see clearly now. And the newest Eagles on meeting expectations and training with Harley. An Irish jockey with an almighty voice now finds himself the most unlikely of Melbourne Cup champions. Robbie Dolan upstaging a high-profile field in his Cup debut, producing a history-making ride.
A brave knight's tale, one that will be told over and over again.
I can't believe it. I don't even know what to say.
He didn't have to. 'Cause you said best. Come on, let me hear you. Rockin' Robbie's dream debut of a different kind after shooting to stardom on Channel 7's The Voice.
Okay.
That was mad. But not as mad as what was about to unfold at Flemington.
Ready to go, and they're racing.
As a nation and County Kildare came to a standstill. The rank outsider bought for $85,000, upstaging racing royalty in a photo finish. A second Melbourne Cup for trainer Sheila Laxon after Ethereal's win in 2001. Owners recently rejecting an offer for $2.3 million. That choice now looking a masterstroke. None prouder than Dolan's dad, Bobby, as reality sank in for racing's newest champion.
We got here earlier, we just watched James ride a couple of winners and, you know, she's got a bleeding movie, you know what I mean?
Japanese horse Warp Speed finished second. Akita Sushi was third. At Royal Randwick, Kieran Maher's stunning run continued.
Gringotts wins the big dance. Gringotts by 3/4 to Vivier.
The win taking Maher's stable earnings this season to more than $30 million. Theodoropoulos, 7 News.
West Coast Eagles recruit Liam Baker has admitted he was a little surprised the Eagles gave up their prize number 3 draft pick in this year's draft to bring him across to the nest.
I suppose that's their decision, and I wanted to get there and they got it done for me, so it's up to me to, you know, repay them over the next 5 years playing good footy. So it's up to me now, which is exciting.
Baker is set to make the move west in the next couple of weeks alongside former Tigers teammate Jack Graham. Graham revealing he's already hit the track with teen sensation Harley Reid.
Yeah, I've done a training session with Harley Reid. Me and Liam Baker, we were able to meet up with Harley and just have a kick and have coffee, so that was good.
Clubs will return to pre-season training from as early as next week. Can you believe it? Fremantle Dockers AFLW coach Lisa Webb says her side is embracing the underdog status ahead of their elimination final with the Essendon Bombers on Saturday. Webb confident Freo can match it with the best in the competition.
I won't shy away from the fact that we want to beat any team we come up against, of course, and I guess there's no reason why we can't. We love that underdog status, but I can tell you right now, the girls that are, you know, in the change room working hard, they believe they can beat anyone, and so do I.
Star defender Ash Brazel is a test to play as she recovers from an ankle complaint. It's Freo's first finals appearance in 3 years and their first under Webb. Pat Cummins is seeing the ball clearer than ever, and with good reason. After last night's nervy win over Pakistan, Mitch Starc revealed Cummins had corrective eye surgery earlier this year. The skipper's unbeaten 32 got the Aussies home by 2 wickets.
Arriving in Adelaide, Matt Short carrying precious cargo ahead of Game 2 against Pakistan Friday. Coffee and a phone glimpse for Pat Cummins. Some teammates unaware the captain had a vision problem.
I only read that today as well, but I'm not too sure. Maybe he's had laser surgery or I don't know.
Last night, Josh Inglis saw the ball like a watermelon, belting 49. Australia's top scorer well caught in the deep by Irfan Khan. That triggered a mid-order collapse. 16 for Marnus Labuschagne, Glenn Maxwell a golden duck, Aaron Hardy 10, 3 for none off 5 balls. Cue another Cummins rescue mission like he did during last year's World Cup in India. The skipper looking more and more like a genuine all-rounder. An unbeaten 32 off 31 balls.
Wonderful strike from the Australian captain.
Mission accomplished by 2 wickets. Good mate Mitchell Starc revealing the captain's recent corrective eye surgery.
Now he's got his eyes fixed. Or is that not knowledge? Maybe ask him.
Stark's 3 for 33, earning him man of the match. The captain needs no glasses to see his batters must get better.
I think, there's still room to try and find a couple of partnerships.
Andrew McKinlay, 7 News.
And the Scorchers are in action tonight against the Heat at the Wacker. Brisbane sent the hosts into bat. Sophie Devine started strong before falling for 25.
And bowled. De Clark goes right through Sophie Devine. The perfect Yorker.
Beth Mooney was clinical as usual, notching up a brilliant half-century, eventually finishing on 77 off 52 balls. But she played a lone hand. 7 batters had 10 runs or less. The Scorchers made 142. And I can tell you guys, the Heat have made a brilliant start. 2 fours off 2 balls. Hopefully the Scorchers can slow them down.
Thanks, Ryan. Running a car can be a big drain on the family budget. Many people are now investing in electric vehicles to save money. But how do they really compare compare on cost.
Well, the RAC has crunched the numbers for you, checking the cost on more than 80 cars. The results are surprising.
This is Australia's cheapest electrified car, the Suzuki Swift Hybrid. It's priced at just over $24,000. Petrol plus electric, the hybrid model is leading the charge.
Particularly at this time during a cost of living crisis, a lot of people, in fact most people, can't afford that big initial purchase price that a lot of EVs do have, which can be in the sort of tens of thousands of dollars more to purchase up front.
Petrol prices, registration fees and servicing are all driving up costs. But electric vehicles are becoming more affordable with increased competition. In WA, those who make the EV switch will receive a $3,500 rebate. The RAC has crunched the numbers on running costs. This all-electric BYD Atto, one of the cheapest on the market at just over $300 a week.
Electric vehicles dominate the headlines and the medium-sized category, but it's hybrids that offer the best value for money in the long run. The cheapest car in the medium-sized category was this Toyota Camry Hybrid at $309 a week to run.
In the small size category, it's the petrol-powered MG Essence at almost $300. For a large SUV, the Mitsubishi Pajero is the cheapest at $364. And for utes, this diesel-engine Toyota Hilux will cost around $350.
Now it's more about getting the broader population who are quite happy with their petrol cars to understand electric vehicles.
Francesca Danuccio, 7 News.
Sam Jolly's back, and do we have any more rain coming, Sam?
Well, there's only a slight chance tomorrow, Rick, as another weak cold front moves through, and then it's going to start to warm up again. I'll take a closer look at your forecast right after the break.
Subscribe with Google to The West Australian and never miss a headline. It's simple and secure. 2 taps and you're all set. Explore a world of quality news and journalism from the West. Seamless access, full control, easy to manage. Subscribe with Google to The West Australian.
Tonight, America set to vote for their new president. The candidates' final pitches we cross for the latest. The wash-up after a Melbourne Cup upset and one of the world's forgotten wars, protecting the human rights of a nation. That's the latest tonight after 11.
Welcome back. We had some early showers, had mostly cleared by 9 a.m. Then we had some light afternoon drizzle, and it was cool again today. We reached our maximum of 22.2 degrees. That was around midday. The overnight low was almost 15. Right now it's dropped to 17 degrees. The winds are south-southwesterly at 13 kilometres an hour, and the relative humidity is 63%. All up, we've had about 1 millimetre of rain for the city today, a couple of millimetres for Jandakot and Bickley. Bullsbrook got up to 25 degrees. We had 24 in the Swan Valley and at the airport, a top of 20 for Kalamunda. Fremantle got to 22, and then we had 21.5 further south. A cold front delivered those showers this morning. That is now moving on, but another weak cold front might bring some showers across the south of the state tomorrow. Just a slight chance in the metro area. Then we will start heading back into a warm weather pattern in time for the weekend. And it's heating up on the east coast tomorrow. Hot weather from Queensland down to Tasmania. 33 degrees for Melbourne and Canberra, 31 in Brisbane. That is well above average for this time of year. And statewide tomorrow, Marble Bar will swelter again, 44 expected. Sunny and 27 for Carnarvon. It's looking cloudy with a top of 22 in Jurien Bay. Possible showers for Margaret River and for Albany tomorrow. And on local waters tomorrow, southwesterly winds 15 to 20 knots, turning southerly during the afternoon and the evening. Seas to 1.5 and the swell is going to peak at 2 metres. So let's take a look at the forecast now. It's down to 13 tonight, a partly cloudy 21 tomorrow with a slight chance of a morning shower, 22 on Thursday, a possible shower Friday, 25 degrees, and it is looking nice for the weekend. Sunny and 26 both days. We're up to 28 on Monday and then it's staying sunny next Tuesday with a top of 27 degrees. And now for tonight's winning Oz Lotto numbers. They are 6, 45, 16, 4, 35, 31, 32, and the supplementary numbers are 44, 11 and 39. Those numbers again, if you're writing them down, 6, 45, 16, 4, 35, 31, 32, and the subs 44, 11 and 39. Hope you had some luck, Rick and Sue.
Thanks, Sam. That's 7 News as we head into the US election. Tomorrow should be fascinating.
Don't miss our election coverage from 9 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your night here on 7.